Welcome to another edition of Arizona Wildcats Insiders Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Hutchison. We are getting closer to the start of the college football season, the start of Arizona Wildcats football, which begins on August 30th as the team takes on Hawaii in Arizona Stadium on TNT. We are exactly 27 days away, or we're exactly Lance Briggs days away from Arizona kicking off its 2025 season. Right now, Arizona is in the heart of training camp, gearing up for the college football season, trying to improve its depth, trying to see what it has on its roster, and seeing how the new faces on the coaching staff gel with the team. As you remember, Brett Brennan brought in two new coordinators in terms of Danny Gonzalez being promoted to the defense coordinating job, and then he brought in former Marshall, Seth Dagey, offense coordinator, coming over from Marshall to be the lead offensive guy here at Arizona. The two have put together, transfers through the transfer portal, built up that 2025 recruiting class, and solidified Arizona's roster. Other changes on the coaching staff: Joe Salavea is now the defense coordinator, trying to help build the program that he helped build back in the 90s as part of the Desert Storm defense, trying to build up the defensive line, build up the recruiting depth, recruiting, talent here at Arizona. So Joe Salavea is working with the defensive line, Josh Miller as the tight ends coach, and other changes on the coaching staff as well. But those are the main ones right now. So Nova Fida looking to have a bounce back year after an underwhelming 2024 season, as he threw 12 interceptions to his 18, got sacked 28 times. Arizona's trying to fix those issues in terms of the offensive line, trying to give him more depth at the receiving core and improve its running game, and then hopefully stay healthy, unlike last season. So we're getting ready for the second week of training camp, but some of the things that I've seen so far in training camp are really interesting. I want to start with the offensive line. Clearly, it was a massive issue last year for Arizona. They were riddled with injuries throughout the offensive line. They started the season missing an offensive lineman and Raymond Polito, who quit the football team. So you're down your left tackle there. Rhino Tepeatoa goes down with an ACL injury in week 6, I believe it was. So you're down your backup left tackle, who was playing very good football, was playing elite level football for really a freshman. I know he was a redshirt freshman, but for a guy that had no starting experience, he was playing amazing football, looking really good there. And then he goes down. Other injuries on the line, forcing Jonas Savinea to go from right tackle to left tackle, sometimes at guard. It was a hodgepodge on the offensive line, and that led to 28 sacks. And not only 28 sacks, but many games where Fifita was under duress, where he had his back on the ground at least 12, 14 times in a game. Colorado, he was sacked 7 times. Just a chaotic mess back there. So Josh Oglesby brought in talent through the transfer portal, brought in highly talented freshmen in the recruiting class that I don't know will play this season with the guys they brought in through the portal and what was on the offensive line from last year. But guys, you could develop their bodies, either trim them down or build them up, because there's some differences between the two, and you might have all conference offensive linemen there. But you look at the offense line, it is an enormous number right now. You have 20 offensive linemen on the roster. That's the most I've ever seen covering Arizona athletics, ever seen covering football from high school to college. I've never seen 20 offensive linemen on the roster. I asked former Arizona Wildcat Lamont Hunley what was the most he remembers when he played at Arizona. I think he gave the number 13 to 14. Rich Rod at one point had 15 to 16 offensive linemen. So to have 20 is massive. And you're missing one lineman. There's still one that is trying to get his eligibility in terms of being worked out to incoming freshmen, trying to get eligible in terms of meeting the requirements. So you could have 21 offensive linemen by the start of the season. That's an amazing number, a large number, but there's a lot of talent on that offensive line. Now, is it elite talent? I don't know. I think it's talent that can grow into becoming elite players. I think Ryan Tabeatoa is an elite left tackle, right tackle, whatever you want to put him at. I think you have something special in Ty Buchanan from Texas Tech. He's looked really good on the offensive line. I've been very impressed with him. You're kind of settling in to that center situation with multiple guys going in and out there. But the biggest thing is you got to get healthy. You have some guys that haven't been able to get on the field that are working their way there. And, so it's created a mixed match there the first weeks or so. So you want to see that kind of stabilize as you get closer to the season and have an idea of what you're going to have come week 1, week 2, and especially week 3 when you play Kansas State. So right now, I think the offensive line is moving in a positive direction. And I think Seth Dagy's offense helps that out with up-tempo, getting the ball out, high-paced offense. So I think that helps. But they're moving in the right direction. I think last year, things got out of hand very quickly. It's not one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen last season. That goes to the 2021 offensive line, 2020 and 2021. Those were some of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen at Arizona. That NAU game again. But let's not dwell on that. Things are going in the right direction. Josh Oglesby has that line moving forward, and I think they're finding their rhythm. They're slowly getting better in training camp, and they've looked a lot better than what they looked like in spring. And that's because of the bodies that have come in and kind of a maturation of getting to know each other. So offense line is one major takeaway thus far. Chase Kennedy. Last year, he kind of emerged on the scene, the transfer from Utah as an edge rusher, had pretty good games. I think he had 5-6 sacks, something like that. But there were times he wore down near the end of the season, given that he was about 250, 260 on that line, or maybe even less than that. Maybe he was 240, 230, trying to go up against big boys. And so as you're going throughout the season, you're going to get worn down. You're going to have your nicks and bruises, and it's going to wear you down. He's built up. He's around that 260 mark, 270 mark now. Long, lengthy, lean. It's not bad fat. It's not bad weight. It's muscle. He looks more durable out there. But mind you, they're not playing him just on the edge. They're moving him all around the field. He's kind of like a Swiss Army knife for Arizona. I don't know if he'll be part of the starting unit. You're still kind of working that out with the linebacking core, with the defensive line. But he kind of reminds me of a guy like Tremathan Bondurant. Now, again, Bondurant's a safety and the linebacker. It's very different. You're not going to see him dropping back into coverage like that. But what I'm talking about is a guy that you can use in multiple situations. That can be that Swiss Army knife. Shaq Thomas from Washington is another one of those guys that was used in multiple situations. And it could create havoc. And I think he's going to be one of those ball hawking guys, not necessarily, again, in coverage, but always finding the football, always being around the ball, creating havoc, creating turnovers. I like his progression. He's developing at his new position at linebacker, and he is becoming more of a leader out there on the field. I think they have something special there, and they're going to need to find another rushing threat, another guy that can get in the backfield. Trey Smith is going to, I think, be the lead pass rusher for Arizona, but you got to create havoc. And I think Chase Kennedy could be that guy and could be a special weapon for Arizona this season that teams are going to have a hard time preparing for with how they use him all over the football field. Lastly, I want to talk about Rhino Tepetoa. We kind of talked about him earlier in this podcast, going down with the ACL injury after having a terrific first, 6 weeks of the season. He looked really good. He was getting better game in and game out. I think he was kind of rushed into that starting role again, given what the situation with Raymond Polito. I think they would have liked to have had one more year with him either at a different position or developing behind Raymond. But he looked good. He looked really good. His footwork was good. He was quick off the snap, very strong. And, even though he could use to put on a little bit more weight there and a little bit more muscle last season, he was holding his own against some major talent. Did well against Kansas State, did well against Utah. But you look at what he's been able to do in his rehab. During spring football, Brennan said that the hopeful timeline was to have him ready for the start of the season. He's been working hard every day from spring to now. Coach Colin Carroll's done a great job with him in the weight room, and the strength and conditioning staff has done an amazing job with him. He is still in the process of working his way back, but he's become a vocal leader during that time. He's become one of the leaders on the offensive line, and even though he hadn't been there during spring, everybody looks towards him. Everybody seeks his advice, especially the younger guys in the locker room. So to have a guy with a handful of games under his belt because of injury issues last season, be that type of leader and that type of guy that teammates respect, that's massive. That's massive for the team. That speaks volumes on him as a person and as a leader. And as he gets ready for the season, he's a guy that is as strong as an ox, has great footwork, moves very fast. To me, he is the next level offensive tackle. Now, does that mean it's a Jordan Morgan first-round draft pick? No. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that at this point. But he could work his way into that. I will not be shocked when he is drafted and plays at the next level, rather that be rounds 1 through 7. I think he will have a shot in the NFL. And I think he's a guy Arizona's going to be relying upon heavily. And if he's ready to go at the start of the season, plays the full year and nothing, no bad luck, no injuries happen this year, I think he could be an all-conference tackle for Arizona. I think he could be an all-conference performer and be one of the staples of this offense line for the Wildcats. Again, we'll have more updates from training camp as the days move along. Details in terms of the offense line and positioning of the line, we can't really disclose. So that is going to kind of work itself out as we get closer to the start of the season. But Arizona has revamped its offense line. It's moving in the right direction. Chase Kennedy has been an absolute monster so far during training camp. Things are looking good for Arizona to get back to a bowl game and get back on the winning track.